As the dust of Egypt settles behind them and the promise of freedom stretches before them, the Israelites find themselves on the brink of a momentous encounter. The air is filled with awe and expectation as the desert winds carry whispers of divine miracles and the hope of a new beginning. They have escaped the chains of slavery and witnessed the parting of the Red Sea, miracles that defy explanation and affirm their faith. Yet, as they march through the vast, unforgiving wilderness, the euphoria of liberation begins to wane. The grandeur of their journey is overshadowed by the harsh realities of desert life and the creeping doubts that gnaw at their hearts. Their leader, Moses, has ascended the towering Mount Sinai, shrouded in divine mystery and thunderous glory, to receive the laws that will forge their destiny. But what happens when divine promises are tested by human impatience? As Moses climbs higher into the clouds, leaving behind people who are both hopeful and restless, a new kind of trial begins to unfold. The camp below is buzzing with growing unease, and the echoes of their previous miracles start to fade in the face of a startling betrayal. The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation that will challenge the very foundation of their faith and reshape their journey. In this critical moment, where divine expectation meets human frailty, the story of the Israelites takes a dramatic turn. Will they remain steadfast in their faith, or will their impatience lead them down a path of betrayal? This is where our story begins, a tale of broken covenants, divine wrath, and the quest for redemption. The Israelites had endured generations of crushing slavery in the land of Egypt, their spirits oppressed but never fully extinguished. Then, a miracle began to unfold, orchestrated by the hand of God through their unlikely leader, Moses. It started with a series of awe-inspiring plagues that shook Egypt to its core, each one a testament to divine power, yet sparing the Israelites from harm. The climactic night of the Passover came, a night of haunting cries and deep sorrow across Egypt, as the angel of death passed over the homes marked with lamb's blood. In that chilling moment, the Israelites were finally set free. With the oppressive weight of bondage lifting, they began their journey through the wilderness. Just when it seemed their newfound freedom might slip away, God parted the Red Sea, creating a path through the waters. As Pharaoh's army closed in, the waters returned, engulfing their enemies and sealing their deliverance. The Israelites, now free, marched toward the Promised Land, guided by a divine promise. Their journey was nothing short of extraordinary. By day, a pillar of cloud shielded them from the harsh desert sun, while by night, a pillar of fire illuminated their path and provided warmth against the cold. Their hunger was met with manna, a mysterious bread from heaven that fell each morning, and their thirst was quenched by water flowing from a rock. Yet despite these continual miracles, doubt and discontent simmered among the people. Their trust wavered, and they struggled to embrace the divine plan laid out before them fully. After 3 long months of wandering, the Israelites reached the foot of Mount Sinai, a towering and majestic peak shrouded in divine mystery. Here, God called Moses to ascend the mountain, where he would bestow upon him the sacred laws and commandment. This was no ordinary moment. It was a pivotal encounter that would establish a divine covenant, setting the Israelites apart as God's chosen people, bound by laws that would shape their destiny and define their place in the world. The scene at Mount Sinai was nothing short of otherworldly. The entire mountain seemed to come alive with divine power, trembling under the weight of God's presence, enveloped in a swirling tempest of smoke and fire. The air crackled with divine energy, casting a shadow of awe and fear over the people below. From their vantage point, the Israelites watched in stunned silence as Moses climbed higher into this fiery spectacle, stepping into a realm where the sacred and the mortal intertwined. For 40 days and nights, Moses remained on the mountain, immersed in a profound communion with God. During this time, he received not only the moral and spiritual guidelines encapsulated in the 10 Commandments, but also intricate details for building the tabernacle, a sacred dwelling place for the divine, and for organizing the community that would soon emerge from the wilderness. Back at the base of the mountain, however, the mood was starkly different. People left in the grip of uncertainty and impatience grew increasingly restless. Their leaders' prolonged absence began to erode their faith and stir doubts. Frustration turned to desperation, and they turned to Aaron, Moses' brother, demanding, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Exodus 32:1. Caught between the demands of the restless crowd and his wavering resolve, Aaron succumbed to their pressure. He gathered their gold jewelry and crafted a calf, an idol of their former lives in Egypt. People eagerly embraced this golden image, proclaiming, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." Exodus 32:4. They offered sacrifices, reveling in their newfound idol, abandoning the covenant they had so recently vowed to uphold. Meanwhile, atop the mountain, God revealed to Moses the grave news of the people's betrayal. His righteous anger burned fiercely, and he spoke of wiping them out, threatening to create a new nation from Moses alone. But Moses, standing as an advocate for his people, interceded with fervent pleas for mercy. He reminded God of his promises, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, arguing that the divine name and purpose were at stake. Moved by Moses' intercession, God relented, but the weight of the people's sins loomed large. With a heavy heart, Moses knew he had to descend from the mountain and confront the people with the reality of their transgression. What would you do if you returned from a profound spiritual encounter, only to find that those you entrusted with your mission had betrayed everything you worked for? Imagine the scene. After 40 days and 40 nights of divine communion on Mount Sinai, Moses begins his descent, carrying 2 stone tablets etched with God's hand. His face glows with celestial radiance, a visible testament to his profound encounter with the Almighty. The Israelites camped at the base of the mountain remain oblivious to the spiritual transformation Moses has undergone and the monumental laws he bears. As Moses draws closer to the camp, a peculiar sound reaches his ears. It's neither the clamor of battle nor the joyous songs of celebration. Instead, he hears a chaotic symphony of singing and dancing. Joshua, his devoted aide who had waited for him halfway up the mountain, suggests the noise could be that of a skirmish. But Moses, with a deepening sense of foreboding, discerns a graver reality. The serene, sacred aura of his divine encounter is abruptly shattered by the raucous celebration below. When Moses finally arrives and witnesses the scene, his heart is struck with righteous fury. There, in the heart of the camp, stands a golden calf, an idol crafted from the very gold that was to signify their devotion to God. The Israelites, the very people whom God had chosen and rescued from slavery, are now bowing and dancing before this man-made idol, declaring it to be the God who led them out of Egypt. This act of betrayal pierces Moses deeply. He had entrusted his brother Aaron with leadership in his absence, but Aaron had faltered under the relentless pressure of the people. Impatient and doubtful of Moses' return, the Israelites had regressed to their old ways, reverting to the idolatry they had known in Egypt. In a moment of weakness, Aaron had gathered their gold and fashioned the calf, trying to placate their faithlessness and doubts. The sight of the people's infidelity and the sight of the golden calf, representing their rejection of the covenant they had sworn to uphold, leaves Moses grappling with a profound sense of betrayal and anger. His return is not just a descent from the mountain, but a confrontation with the very heart of their rebellion. Imagine the scene. Moses stands at the edge of the camp, holding the divine commandments in his hands. These stone tablets, inscribed by the very finger of God, Exodus 31:18, are the foundation of the covenant between God and his people, a sacred promise etched with divine authority. As Moses approaches, he is unaware of the grave betrayal unfolding below. The first commandment echoes with divine clarity, "You shall have no other gods before me." Exodus 23. The second commandment is equally explicit, "You shall not make for yourself an idol." Exodus 24. Yet, as Moses reaches the camp, his heart sinks at the sight before him. The Israelites, who had been rescued from slavery, are now dancing around a golden calf, an idol they have fashioned from their gold. This act of idolatry is a blatant defiance of the very laws God has given them. Overcome by a surge of righteous anger and heartbreak, Moses hurls the tablets to the ground. They shatter into pieces, symbolizing the broken covenant between God and his people. Exodus 32:19. The shattered tablets are not merely an outburst of fury. They represent the profound breach of faith that has occurred. Commandments, given with such divine authority, lie in ruins, mirroring the Israelites' shattered trust. In a dramatic response, Moses seizes the golden calf, casting it into the fire. He watches it burn and then grinds it into powder. With a grim determination, he scatters the powdered remains on the water and commands the Israelites to drink it. This act of consuming their sin is both a punishment and a vivid lesson, forcing them to internalize their betrayal. Moses then confronts Aaron, his voice laced with righteous indignation. Aaron, ensnared by guilt, stumbles through his excuses, blaming the people's demands and suggesting that the calf had emerged almost magically from the fire. Realizing the gravity of their sin and the risk of divine wrath, Moses stands at the camp's entrance and calls out, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." Exodus 32:26. The Levites respond, rallying to his side. Following God's command, they administered judgment on those who had led the people astray. Stark reminder of the cost of idolatry. The next day, Moses ascends the mountain again, not only to plead for the people's forgiveness but also to seek a new set of tablets. God instructs Moses to chisel out a new set of stone tablets. Exodus 34:1, and this time, God himself rewrites the commandments. This act reaffirms the covenant, despite the people's failures and the severe consequences they faced. Moses' breaking of the tablets is more than a moment of anger. It is a profound act of teaching and consequence. It highlights the seriousness of idolatry and the sanctity of the divine covenant. The story recounted in Exodus 32 serves as a powerful reminder of human frailty and divine mercy. It teaches that even when we falter and break our promises, there is always a path to redemption through repentance and divine grace.